Meefra, the strongest engine. All the trains in Klaborianus are proud of being good and healthy. There are passenger cars and freight cars on Chief Meikenhat's railroad. One fine afternoon, Meefra arrived at Maskport Station. It was busy.
"I'm here to deliver freight cars today,"
Meefra said. "Are you really?" asked Krivy. "I came from Sodor," said Vivy, "'cause Sir Topham Hatt wanted me to go here on my intercity route." She was proud with everything around her. "So Rondoni is the largest city," said Krivy. "It is," said Vovy, "'cause I pass farms." "Well, I can do my job too," Meefra said. The next day, Meefra arrived at Farmport. Chief Meikenhat was there. "Today, I would like you to take a goods train to Drostensack, Boston," he said. "It's a very long train, so you must be careful." He looked at Meefra.
"Of course, Chief,"
Meefra said. A few minutes later, Meefra arrived to collect her goods train. It was a really long train.
"I can make it over this hill on time,"
she said, and she was buffered up to the train and set off through the snow. With a long line of freight cars.
"This is a good way to get through the snow,"
Meefra said.
"'Cause Rivik likes doing this job just as much as me."
She was very proud of the work. And the freight cars behind rolled really nice and carefully. And there were lots of them behind Meefra, and she puffed on as much as she could. And it was good in the snow. A few minutes later, Meefra came to a steep grade, and she puffed with all of her might.
"I must make it to the top,"
Meefra said. She struggled and struggled.
"I'm the strongest locomotive,
like Krivy said," she said. Then there was trouble. One of the couplers snapped. And the train rolled really fast down the hill. Oh, it went. Meanwhile, Frushy was at the station of Corbett's Glen.
"This is my station,"
she said, "but I'm oblivious about what's coming towards me." And she saw ahead of her was freight cars moving with no engine. They had come detached from Meefra. And they were going really fast down the grade. "That looks horrifying," Frushy said. "My control car wouldn't pull that many cars." The runaway freight cars rolled faster and faster, and they were moving with no engine, and they sped down another grade. Chief Meikenhat was at Capitol Junction in Trothburg. "I would like you to save Meefra's train, Krivy," he said. "It's going way too fast."
Of course, Chief,
said Krivy, and she puffed away. It was an important job. The rail cars raced through tunnels as fast as they could. And they were going so fast that no one could stop them. And they went over for great seeds and hills as fast as they could. But then ahead, the runaway cars sped faster and faster. And then Krivy was right in front of the runaway train, and the freight cars were diverted onto an old bridge that was not used properly. And they rolled down the grade. And then it happened. The freight cars plunged into the drink. And they were derailed. "That was unexpected," said Krivy. "I didn't see that to happen." Further up down the line, Mevy was pulling her freight train to Rondonia. It was a long route. And then she became oblivious about what was going on the other side of the hill. Because the freight cars were rolling nicely, but on the other side of the grade was very suspicious. The runaway cars had broken away, but Mevy didn't care. She passed the freight cars rolling, and then she saw Mevy right ahead of her. Her driver applied the emergency brakes. And she braced for impact. "I must stop," cried Mevy. Meefra's crew members bailed out to prevent being hit by debris and falling rail equipment. It was too late. Mevy smashed into Meefra head-on, and the freight cars derailed. When the dust cleared, everything was quiet. And Mevy and Meefra were damaged and broken. And Mevy was upset. "I'm sorry," she said. "I didn't have time to stop. 'Cause I was too quickly." "It's okay," said Meefra. "I'm just damaged to my funnel and buffers and wheels." And the freight cars at the bottom of the lake were wet and damaged, and the brake van had rotten wood and rusty metal. And it was never found again. until Christmas. As the sun was shining the next day, all the trains in Klaborianus were friendly and doing their work as much as they can by pulling passenger cars and freight cars. And Amtrak does a good job by taking passengers from city to city. And although the crash was over, things in Klaborianus were back to normal again. And the farm fields had growing corn, and the freight trains were getting their work done as much as they can. And everything was well for the hard work the trains do on Chief Mike and Hal